was born 11 weeks early. It was a trip that it was different. I knew deep down we need to get her into the hospital, and by the time we got him to the hospital and by the time he was born, probably an hour and a half went by at the most. You feel so helpless, and that's the worst feeling in the world. It was scary. We were told by a nurse when we were there that having Archer so early would be really dangerous for him, and so it scared us when he came out. And then when I found out that they were giving her the injection to help with his lung progression, he was already out. That terrified me even more, because now I thought my child wasn't going to be able to breathe.
I felt like it was my fault.
By the time they injected her with it, his head was already out of her body. And he took his first breath and started screaming before he even left the room.
Yeah, he left the room breathing, but I didn't know what was going to happen. And I knew he was way, way too early.
And that was a huge, we were in tears, we were crying. It was.
I thought he was breathing.
Yeah.
We were terrified. I've never been so scared.
He had stopped breathing and had turned blue, and we had to step back and let the nurses step in and get him to start breathing again. That was the scariest thing ever.
You don't want to be the person that has to leave their kid at a hospital for months because you want to take him home. She just fell on our driveway, just started screaming and crying, and she lost all control of her body and her emotions. And then I have to be strong for the both of us, and I'm on the edge. He had a significant brain bleed that started early in the first trimester of Anita's pregnancy. We don't know why. The doctors couldn't pinpoint it. It was nothing that she did. It was nothing that Archer did. It was nothing that I did. It was just what happened. It was the cards he got dealt. Before he was actually diagnosed, we would tell people, that yeah, he has cerebral palsy. We kind of expected it. The doctors told us that, don't be surprised if he'll get this diagnosis. Once it came in, though, it was a tough pill to swallow, because then you don't have that, even the slightest bit of hope that, maybe he's just learning something slow. Now you have a disabled kid that you're taking care of, and no one wants that for their child. No one wants to see your kid struggle like that. We planned for the best that we could, but then the diagnosis comes in. It's like, man, why? Why Archer? I mean, you never wish that on anybody, but it's not fair. This is the happiest kid. He lights up a room when you walk into the room. He smiles. With the help that the March of Dimes gives to hospitals and the technologies that they help create, we probably wouldn't have Archer if it wasn't for that stuff.
The biggest thing, I think, is to get involved with an event. The March of Dimes, the first time we did it, same thing. We thought it was this huge, globally known thing. The money probably goes, somewhere like New York or something like that. But when you're there and you see all of the people walking, all the families that are affected, it really makes a difference. It lets you know that this does happen here.
She changed our lives when she was born, and we just all want to walk and support her and support other babies like her, and I think we're all just one big family with one purpose and one desire, and that's to have healthy babies.
And I have been involved with March of Dimes for 27 years. I support the March of Dimes because I love babies. And I just think that our cause is amazing. I have a personal cause because about 12 years ago, we were waiting for our first granddaughter to be born, and she actually came 4 weeks early, but her lungs weren't developed. But she only lived for 4 months, and her lungs just weren't right. They just weren't functioning properly. So we had to say goodbye, and it was really, really difficult.
As a parent, I think you should realize that this happens in town. This happens to your neighbors, this happens to your friends. It doesn't happen to someone else's kid. It happens to someone that's directly close to you. We call him Superman because he was born 11 weeks early and his lungs were developed enough to cry. He was kind of slightly jaundiced, but he wasn't bad. So we're like, man, he's just rocking, he's like Superman, look at him. And the nurse would say, we're doing another test. The babies might not, they might be kind of grumpy for the next couple days. Archer never was. So everything that he had to meet, he met head on and rocked it. I was like, man, you're like Superman. You can do it all. And so that kind of stuck. And so when we march, we were Archer's Marchers, and our logo was the Superman logo because that's him. He's not just Archer. He's Superman. This kid can do everything, and that's where he got his nickname, because every battle he's fought, he's won. Someone out there's had the same issues that we have, and so it puts us in a fraternity where if we need some help, we know people who may just be friends that have been there too, that we don't have to feel like we're reaching out for help. It's just a big brotherhood.
I was born at 28 weeks, so I was 14 weeks premature. I was 3 pounds 6 3/4 ounces at birth, and I was in an incubator for about 6 weeks. As a result, I have cerebral palsy. I worked harder than most people, and the sad thing is people don't even realize that they're touched by the March of Dimes. Because if it wasn't for the March of Dimes and the research they have done, I wouldn't be here today.
I had polio my entire life. I was born during the last polio epidemic in 1948. Birth defects are a horrible thing, and I've seen children everywhere. I see the results of that on the college campus today. I've seen them for years, sitting by themselves in the cafeteria, sitting by themselves in the classroom, going out alone after a class. And the thing is, comes back again. Most of us are busy working every day, earning a living, taking care of our families. Without organizations like the March of Dimes, who's going to do this?
I would rather my kid have this cerebral palsy, knowing that we can do everything in our power to help him, than have a kid born that his parents don't care and don't want to help. If your donation saves one child, just one, that makes all the difference in the world.